Hey everyone, Brandon here with Galway Precision. Today we are going to go over the installation of the Crusader trigger in a Kimber Micro 9. So we'd like to go ahead and thank Mike Justice, one of our local customers, who brought his Kimber Micro 9 by and is letting us use it to make sure that the Crusader trigger will fit, and it does. And so now we're going to be launching a whole new product line, starting with the Crusader trigger for the Kimber Micro 9s. This is a great little gun, straight out of the box as it is, and I've never been a huge fan of Kimber, but I really like this Micro 9 to the point that I'm probably going to purchase one here over the next couple months. So first things first, let's go over tools that you're going to need. You're going to need your bench block. You're going to need some VC3 or blue Loctite, preferably the VC3. As I've gone over in a previous video, this is what we're selling in our installation kits, and this will be the first time you actually get to see it in use. You're going to need your 1/16 punch, your .050 Allen wrench. You'll need a 1/16 Allen, a 5/64 Allen, and of course your good old hammer, brass hammer. Now, instead of the Allen wrenches, I'll be using our Brownell's Magnetip, just because it's slightly easier for me video-wise to be able to do it with that. But a standard 1/16 and a standard 5/64 Allen wrench will do just fine for what you're going to need it for. So let's go ahead and lock and clear the weapon. Alright, we have visually and physically inspected that there's no ammunition present. Go ahead and drop the hammer, set that back down. The very first thing we're going to do, if you're using VC3 out of our trigger installation kit, you're going to be sure to remove the trigger post-travel set screw. Take your 5/0 Allen wrench, stick it on there. Make sure that if you're using a tube of VC3, you shake it up a little bit. The bag, you don't really have to worry about that. That comes in the installation kit. Just knead it up. Alright, we're going to apply it. Now, I like to make sure that it gets down in the threads properly, and it speeds up the curing a little. So I just take my finger and I run it like that so that it gets down in the grooves really well. Alright. Now, what's great about the VC3, we're going to set that off to the side now. Let that dry. You're supposed to let it cure for 20 to 30 minutes, but as the instructions state, you can actually go ahead and put the screw in after about 5 or 10 minutes. So we'll let that sit while we go ahead and field strip and do everything else we need to do. Alright, so go ahead and flip your bench block over to the flat side. First thing we're going to do is take the slide off. Now, I like to take one of my punches and just give the takedown lever a slight push. Take it out. We're going to take the slide off. We're not doing anything with the slide, so we're going to set it off to the side. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our 5/64 and we're going to remove the grip screws from the grip panels. Alright, you're going to see this little rubber piece right here. Alright, it's going to be probably torn up. Don't throw it away. You need to keep that. That's actually the grommet, or correction, the gasket that goes between the screw and the wood grip panels, and that's what protects them. Alright, so we're going to take off this one too. Alright, and then you're going to remove that grip panel. Now, if the gaskets come out, just take them and set them off to the side with the screws and the grip that they came off of. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and flip that over, take the other grip panel off. Now again, I know we just covered this, but just to really drill it home, when you take that off, the gasket comes out, just set it off to the side with the grip it came out of, because you're going to want those. Alright, so now While we're on this side, we're going to go ahead and take our 1/16 Allen. We're going to push up on the mag release, insert, and turn to the left. We're going to go counterclockwise. All right, then you can actually remove the magazine release. So we're going to flip it back over. We're going to go ahead and drop the hammer. We're going to remove the safety. The only reason we do this is in case you run into a little trouble and you need to actually remove the hammer and everything. Unlike the SIG 938, the Kimber Micro 9, we don't have to completely take apart to change out the trigger. You also do not need a 12-ton press because they used a standard roll pin for the trigger pin. All right, just like the 938 though, it does drive out from right to left, so flip it over. Another reason that we take the safety off is so it doesn't impede on the bench block. When you flip it over like that, the spring then helps keep the safety in place that goes inside the hammer pin may come out. Just go ahead and take that, set it by your safety so you don't lose it. All right, so we're going to take our 1/16 punch. We're going to line it up and drive out the trigger pin. Set it off to the side because you're going to need it again here in a second. All right, go ahead and remove your pin punch and very gently let the trigger retract. Don't just let it snap because it'll pop up and it won't really hurt anything, but you might ding up the frame some. All right, now getting this out is a little bit tricky, but what you're going to do is let it go up into this position, which it'll want to do on its own, and then take, whoop, did that a little too fast, sorry. When it's sitting in that position right there, where you have the trigger bar down and the trigger right there, you're going to take and just keep your finger on top of the trigger. All right, compress the trigger bar and the whole thing will slide right on out. All right, so let's set the frame off to the side. Next thing we're going to do is drive out the roll pin out of the trigger, which this is a very nice trigger too. It's actually aluminum. They're the only ones on the market right now running an aluminum trigger in a Mini 1911. All right, so we're going to take our roll pin, put it in our bag that our new trigger came out of, and then we're going to take. Now, the way I do this is I keep the trigger down so we don't lose the trigger return spring. I'm going to go ahead and hold the rear of the trigger bar and the front of the trigger, and we're going to take out our pin punch, and you notice the trigger bar drops down immediately because of the tension that it's under from the trigger return spring. Go ahead and lift the trigger up, take out the trigger return spring. We're going to set that down. We're going to put our old trigger in our bag. All right, now we've let the VC3 sit for a while. It's not really all that sticky anymore. So with these, I do it a little bit differently. Rather than go from front to rear, I like to install these from the rear. Reason being is you don't want all of the Loctite or VC3 in the front of the trigger, since all the adjustments actually in the back. So take it in, put it in the back, stick your 0.50 Allen wrench through, and you can go from the front if you want. This is just my personal preference, and I find it easier to do it this way. All right, so take that in, turn it counterclockwise to bring it in some, right about to the point where it's starting to break into the hole there, and then stop. Reason we're stopping is we want to be able to put the trigger return spring in. We're going to take our dowel pin that came with our trigger. You're going to take your trigger bar, and you'll see a small opening at the top here just above the spring. That's where the trigger bar goes in. All right, we're going to compress that spring with the trigger bar to where it lines up. And then we're going to take our pin, push it through. Now this is a very stiff trigger return spring, and actually we are going to be sending this one off for sampling to include in all the Crusader triggers for the 938. There have been some people who have reset issues, and it's not because of the trigger. It's actually because of the trigger turn spring that they're using in those plastic triggers is perfect weight for kicking that lightweight plastic back out. But on some of these pistols, they have a little tolerance variance. It's a little bit harder for them to kick out the all aluminum trigger. So we will be having a new spring made that will go with all of the Crusader triggers. Because even in the Micro 9, you may come across just a weak spring. All right, so now that we have that done, we're going to take and adjust inwards, so turning counterclockwise. And you're going to feel the resistance from the VC3. That's what you want. Now, what's great about VC3 is it's completely reusable. All right, you don't have to worry about it dried off and fell off, and now we got to reapply. This stuff stays on forever. You'll have a little bit of excess on the back. Let's go ahead and get that off so it doesn't stick to the mag release when we start adjusting. All right, so we have that in. Now we're going to reinstall the trigger. So start by taking the trigger bar and the trigger and setting them down inside from the top. Now you're going to get to this point and see how the trigger bar is. I'm going to lift up, and we're also going to turn the trigger at the same time. This is where it can get a little bit tricky just because you're trying to bend everything all at once. So you're going to push forward on the trigger bar until you've lined up, and we're going to start our pin punch. Or correction, our roll pin. All right, now see, we weren't completely lined up and it popped the trigger like that. So one thing to do is to take your 1/16 and use it like a slave pin. All right, so drive the roll pin in enough to get it started, and then we're going to push forward on our trigger till we get it lined up. All right, guys, sorry about that. Had to take a customer call. So like I was saying, we'll use our 1/16 pin punch as our dummy pin, as a slave pin. All right, so hold it just like this so that it can actually drop out, and just start tapping the roll pin home. Once that falls out, we're going to set that down. One tool I did forget to mention at the beginning, but it'll be in the tool list when you go to watch the video. Take one of your larger punches, doesn't matter what size, as long as it's bigger and flat. Then it's bigger than the roll pin and nice and flat. And what we're doing with that is we're going to drive that pin the rest of the way home and make sure that it's flush. That keeps us from tearing up the roll pin, because if you're sitting here trying to hammer it like this and you catch it at a wrong angle, you bend that roll pin, I don't know if Kimber's going to replace it or not. So then we're going to take our 1/16. We're just going to go ahead and countersink that a little bit, and what you're looking for is you want to be semi-equidistant on both sides of how deep the roll pin is. You want a little bit inlaid on each side. All right, just like that. You got a nice little bit. All right, so now first thing we're going to do, even though we didn't take the hammer or the sear or the lift or any of that out, we're going to go ahead, cock the hammer one time. All right, ride the hammer, but pull the trigger and make sure that the hammer actually releases. All right, so then we know that everything's okay. We can go ahead and put everything back together. So make sure the hammer's straight up and down, and you're going to take your safety, reinstall it. Again, this is where your big punch will come in handy, because you can take and press down on that pin, or correction, that plunger and spring, and install the safety. All right, next we're going to reinstall our magazine release. All right, let's get everything lined up, and then we're going to take our 1/16 Allen wrench, turn that clockwise back in the groove that it's in, and you'll be able to release the mag release, and there you go, it's sitting flat. So now we're going to put our grip panels back on. Remember, we want to keep the O-rings with the grips, so you're going to go ahead and put your grip on first and lay the O-ring on top. And then we're going to take our 5/64 and we're going to reinstall the grip screws. Now, if you do happen to have a magnet tip set from Brownells like I do, they don't actually label them what the measurements are on these. What you're going to have is these little codes. The 1/16 is the H5221X. And the 5/64 is the H223X. Pardon me. All right, we're going to get this last grip panel on. Remember, we're putting our plastic rubber gaskets back in place. Alright, all those are back in place. Go ahead and, well, take the safety off first. That usually helps. Cock the hammer all the way, so at least we know the safety's working. If the safety's on, oh, too far. Got a little excited. That's what she said. When you got the safety on, alright, the hammer's not going to cock. That's it. Make sure the safety's off so we know the safety's working. Go ahead and take your slide. Push down on your lifter. Now it's a little sharp in there, so what I like to do is to take one of my longer pin punches and push that down from the rear and then slide that on so you don't cut your finger up on the rails. Alright, then we're going to take our takedown lever, get it started, slide back, get the takedown in there. Push it till you hear it click and the slide goes forward. Now we're going to do a function check, full function check. Alright, so the hammer's already cocked. Let's go ahead and put on the safety. Hammer doesn't fall. Go ahead and drop the hammer. Rack the slide. Reset. You'll hear a nice click and you're ready to go. Alright, so now let's go ahead and adjust our over travel. And before any of you even think about it, we have purposely designed this to where you can't just get it at the right setting to turn it into a runaway gun. It's either you've got travel or you don't. There's no in between. Alright? And so what we're going to do is we're going to turn this screw clockwise until the hammer doesn't fall. Alright, so right there the hammer doesn't fall. So now we're going to start taking a quarter turn at a time, counterclockwise, until the hammer falls. Just about there. There it is. Alright, so there's your brake. There's your reset. Trigger fall, reset, fall, reset, fall, reset. All right. So, I mean, you're going to get a nice short trigger, but if you don't want it that short, all you got to do is take and give this one more turn counterclockwise, about a half to a quarter. And I'll give you a little more leeway. I know some people think that if you have your trigger that short that something happens. You know, here's the thing, guys. If you live in a commie state, maybe that's something you got to worry about, but the rest of the states, in all honesty, it's always better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6. A lot of those laws really actually pertain to law enforcement more than anyone else. And rightly so, just because you definitely don't want an incident like what popped up a couple months ago where an officer had to employ his patrol rifle and he had a dust cover that said make it rain when it popped open and he had to fire. Probably not the best idea for him, but for those of you who carry every day, and I get this question a lot on legality on this trigger and other triggers, there are no laws on the books anywhere except for communist states like California, Massachusetts, New York. California does. I don't know about the other ones, but aftermarket parts have nothing to do with defending yourself. You're making your gun better and making it easier to defend yourself. So always remember, we don't know what the laws are where you live. So make sure before you go doing any of this stuff that you check with your local laws and state statutes before purchasing anything to change anything. Sorry about the little diatribe there. It's just something I get asked a lot, so sometimes I bring it up in the videos just because it's all a moot point. You would much rather be alive than dead. I mean, that just goes without saying. So anyway, like I said, this is already a great pistol, and with the Crusader in it, this really turns it into really one of my top 5 personal defense guns now. Because I mean, this thing, I'm serious, guys. I'm gonna go out and get one of these, and that's saying a lot because I've never been a fan of Kimber. So those of you that have one and want that nice short, clean, crisp trigger, you're going to be able to have that now, and we're glad to be able to bring it to you. We're going to be looking at other parts to develop, and when I purchase one for myself, we'll probably look at milling the slide front optic, just like we do the 938. We're not sure yet. We haven't had enough time to actually tear this one completely apart, measure, and do all that. We've only had it for about a week, so hopefully we'll have some more news on some Kimber Micro 9 stuff that we're going to be making. But in the meantime, we're real excited that you guys are going to get this Crusader trigger, which is a huge improvement to an already really tier 1 carry piece. As always, if you've got questions, feel free to email me at tech@gallowayprecision.com. Be sure to follow us on social media here on YouTube. Like, comment, and subscribe below. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, where you get to see all our adventures. Make sure to really follow our Instagram, as we are racing in the straight up SXX series off-road racing that's specifically for UTVs, Razors, Polaris, things like that. Debbie, our vice president, is our lead racer, and Eric, our president and CEO, is the race team leader. There will be a couple of us going to these races to help basically be like a pit crew, and we're looking at maybe adding another vehicle for next year's race that our IT guy Charles will probably be driving, because me and Eric are bigger guys. Charles is a smaller man and weighs a lot less than my almost 300-pound fat butt does, so he'd be much better at it. So definitely keep a lookout on for that on our social media feeds, and be sure to keep a lookout for the new products that we're coming out with, not only for the UTV, ATV stuff from our newest company, that's a fledgling company, Ground Pounder Off-Road, but also new products for the Kimber Micro 9, some new Beretta stuff coming out for the CX4, and a couple other firearms that we're working on new designs for. So, recap, be sure if you got questions, email me. Be sure to follow us on social media, and as always, everyone, be safe, be accurate, and God bless.